Good evening, and if you are watching this, you are ready for some soccer. We are just about set to begin here at the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Sports Complex. You are watching the YouTube stream of Fort Lee Soccer, and tonight they are going to be taking on a very good Cliffside Park Raiders team. So it's going to be the Bridgemen versus the Raiders. And thank you for spending part of your Thursday night here in Fort Lee. Just about ready to get underway. The Bridgemen are taking the field. The Raiders are gathered in a huddle. The clock is getting set up right now. My name is Tommy Aquilina. I will be your commentator for the evening as Fort Lee looks to avenge a loss to Cliffside Park, who really is just about one of the best public high school boys teams you will find in northern New Jersey. So to go over that a little bit, the Raiders are 10-1-3 on the season, and those three ties ended up being games that had to go into overtime and shootouts in the Bergen County tournament. They advanced to the semifinal before falling to Ridgewood in a shootout, but in the Big North American division that the Bridgemen also inhabit, they're 6-0, and they beat Fort Lee 2-1 back on September 28th. That was a road game for the Bridgemen, so this is the home portion of a home-and-home against the Raiders. That 2-1 win, by the way, was significant for the Raiders because that's actually the last game that they played in which they allowed a goal that wasn't in the Bergen County tournament. Since then, they've beaten Dumont twice, and they also blanked St. Joe's Montvale on the road before beating Dwight Morrow 2-0 2 days ago. Fort Lee, meanwhile, is having a good season themselves. They are 4-2 in the Big North American division, which means they're 4-1 against everyone other than this very talented Cliffside Park team. So both teams are on the field. We are just about ready to get underway, and we are off. The beginning of the first 40-minute half is now. In Cliffside Park's half of the field now. Both teams trying to get started. First chance of the game belongs to Fort Lee. Shot sent just wide of goal, not an official shot on goal, and so no save needing to be made. It's going to take a really good effort for the Bridgemen tonight if they want to get a victory. A rivalry game, a divisional matchup, and both teams trying to stay hot. Potential opportunity for Cliffside Park here. It is still October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so the home team, Fort Lee, not wearing their usual colors, or not totally wearing their usual colors of orange and black. They have on their pink jerseys with the long sleeves. Nice on a cool night like tonight. Meanwhile, the Raiders decked out in their white kit with red numbering. Number 26 on the Raiders is going to kick things off from the 35-yard line of the football field, and it's going to be sent out of play by one of the Bridgemen. A very, very good Cliffside Park team. Again, 10-1-3 on the season, but Demba Maine's Bridgeman squad is 7-6-2 themselves. They have been in a little bit of a funk of late, losing their last two games, including their semifinal matchup in the Bergen County Cup against Pascack Hills. So Fort Lee made it to the semifinal. Cliffside Park did as well, and both schools fell after valiant efforts. And before that, a 4-1 loss at Riverdale back on October 13th. So the Bridgemen looking for their first win since the 11th, 2 days prior. That was a win at Ridgefield Park, 4-0. Another potential opportunity here for the Bridgemen. Fighting for it now is Enzo Yu, the team's captain and leading scorer, one of their two captains, along with Caden Chan. They almost lose it, but the Bridgemen retain. A fake of a shot right there. The faked shot in the ball handling was Kato Shinoda. But now it looks like the ball will end up back with Cliffside Park, and they are indeed going to let it go out of bounds. A little more than 3 minutes gone by here. One halfway decent chance for the Bridgemen so far. And now it looks like we're going to have a corner kick, as Cliffside Park couldn't decide if they wanted to let the ball go in or out, and I think it was touched right before going out of bounds. A little bit of a give and go action here. Ball bouncing off of the upper body of some of the players, including their heads, and we get a whistle. Whistle blown by one of our two officials for this rivalry matchup between the Cliffside Park Raiders and the Fort Lee Bridgemen. Booming kick. A lot of big legs and a lot of talented players on this Cliffside Park squad. While Fort Lee has outscored opponents 28-23 on the season, Cliffside Park has outscored their opponents 36-11. And again, they haven't given up a goal in a regular season game since last month. Ball now in the hands of the Fort Lee goalkeeper, Benjamin Thomas. Immediately back to Cliffside Park. Team that plays with a lot of pace, and right now a couple players bump into each other. It looks like Fort Lee is going to take over. Ball thrown in. That was Yu fighting for it. He gets tripped up, so Fort Lee will still have the ball. Enzo Yu and Caden Chan, the two senior captains, also the two leading goal scorers for Fort Lee, wearing their pink uniforms tonight, still their black pants with orange trim. Yu is the only player on the team who's in double figures in goals. Right now this is Shinoda controlling it as Fort Lee backs up and resets. Definitely want to limit the mistakes against this Cliffside Park team, but you also want to take advantage of your opportunities. There probably will not be many of them. This is not a team that gives up very many goals. That was Gordon Cheng trying to pass it off, and almost losing it now are the Bridgemen. Shinoda, though, good footwork, and the Bridgemen maintain. This is Yu with it now, battling the other team's player wearing number 10. Gives it off to Shinoda. Now this is Cheng with it, number 3. Sends it on to Caden Chan, who loses it. Cliffside Park now trying to take it the other way. Cliffside Park trying to maintain. And they are going to lose it as the ball is kicked out of bounds. Cheng will throw in. He's going to throw it in to Randy Mariquin, number 4. One of the top defenders for the Bridgemen. Alessandro Caratizzolo fighting for it. And Fort Lee maintains. For a lot of the early portion of this game, Fort Lee has had possession, but deep in their own part of the field. Cheng is knocked down and a whistle is blown. That should be against number 18 on the Raiders. They ultimately didn't get where they wanted to go, but it was a successful run in the Bergen County Cup for the Bridgemen. They defeated Paramus Catholic in the first round, and then Emerson Borough and North Arlington in the second round in the quarterfinal, before ultimately losing in the semifinal. Shinoda sends it towards net. And we get a stoppage in play here. The ball is going to go the other way with Cliffside Park trying to get something going. I believe each goalie has handled the ball once so far. Neither team able to take advantage of a big mistake yet. Fort Lee is trying to get going. And it's going to go the other way, but it looks like Fort Lee is going to maintain control of the ball here. It's knocked out of bounds off of a member of the Raiders. That was Samuel Choi. Can't tell if that was Choi or not who threw it in, but it goes out of bounds off of the chest of one of his teammates. It was, in fact, Choi. No, it looks like it went off the Raiders. So still Fort Lee possession here. And now someone else is going to throw the ball in. We're a little more than 8 minutes into the first half here between the Bridgemen and the Raiders. Fort Lee player chasing after it with tremendous pace. An attempted shot is blocked nicely by the defender, and now it's going to go out of bounds. Fort Lee will maintain. Fort Lee players have had possession of the ball for much more time than Cliffside Park in the early going, but still no shots on goal. Here's a chance. This is Caden Chan after it, unable to get to it, and the Raiders take it the other way. Intercepted by a pink-shirted player. That's Choi. And sent back, but Fort Lee will control. Going to need to be a crisp effort tonight from Tomas and the rest of the team. However, you do want to limit the chances for Cliffside Park. Might have been a little bit of a shove there by one of the Bridgemen, so we get a whistle. Opportunity here for Cliffside Park, potentially. About 30 minutes left in the first half. Big Thursday night rivalry game under the lights between Cliffside Park and Fort Lee. Ball sent towards net. It's intercepted and sent the other way by a member of the Bridgemen. Headed the other way, but getting the ball out of there was number 7, Naoki Dartley. This is Cheng trying to send it the other way, and he's going to get to throw it in. Throws it in to Chan. Chan, the second leading goal scorer on this Fort Lee team, trying to work through several defenders, and it looks like he's going to maintain it. Nice job there. Cheng now sends it on to Yu. Yu gets Dartley going. They tried for the two-man action. He sends it back to Chan. Sent towards the middle of the field. This is Shinoda with it now, trying to maintain it. Fort Lee does. This is Yu with it. Yu sends it towards net. He scores! Top left corner, Enzo Yu, leading goal scorer for the Bridgemen. He gets them on the board. 10 minutes and 35 seconds into this game, and Fort Lee takes the lead. Really good ball movement there by the Bridgemen. A lot of players got involved there, and then they got the ball on the foot of their leading goal scorer and their senior captain in the middle of the field, and he scores. First regular season, regular game goal allowed by Cliffside Park since September 28th. That was also against Fort Lee. Fort Lee only scored one goal in that game. That was a 2-1 loss. Now trying to split the season series at a game apiece and improve to 5-2 in the Big North American Division. Huge goal there by Yu. He scored a lot of goals. That was maybe his biggest of the year. One of the bigger ones of the year. And now the ball is handled by Tomas. Not a ton of action so far for the Fort Lee goalkeeper. Obviously, he's going to want to stay on his toes. Dartley sending it on to Cheng. Fort Lee trying to capitalize yet again. Pass for Yu was intercepted. Dartley still has it, though. Yu gives it to Chan, who loses it, and Cliffside Park will head the other way. Some contact, no call. Cliffside Park still has it. Really good pace here by the Raiders. They are fast. They have a good offense. We haven't seen a lot of it so far tonight, but it is still early. And that goal by you was definitely a wake-up call. Very impressive goal by Enzo Yu. Not really enough you can say about the season he has had for this team. Ball thrown in by a member of Cliffside Park. It ended up out of bounds. Who was it off of? Looks like they're going to say it was off of Fort Lee. Ball launched in. Tomas ends up with it. It is a crisp game that has been played so far by the Bridgemen, and I'm sure head coach Demba Main stressed that if they want to win this one, they're going to have to play nearly a flawless match. Shot sent towards net, but it is significantly wide to Tomas's left. Bridgemen trying to improve to 4-3-1 on the season at home. That would equal their road record. Cliffside Park has it now. Shinoda intercepts it. Fort Lee will take over. Ball possession figures to be important in this one. So far, Fort Lee is winning that battle. Yu and Shinoda playing some two-man action. And now the Fort Lee defenders have it, and they're going to look to get Cheng going. Dartley kicks it behind him. Pass was intended for Yu, but it goes out of bounds. 1-0 Fort Lee. About 16 and a half minutes gone by. Or rather, 14 and a half minutes gone by here in the first. Several players heading it. It's controlled now by Cliffside Park. Cliffside Park getting to the middle of the field. Good tight defense being played now by the Bridgemen. Player gets past Dartley. Fort Lee doesn't control, they just kick it out of bounds. I believe that was Mariquin. Ball sent out of bounds by a member of Cliffside Park. Fort Lee doing a good job not giving up too many opportunities. There's really only been one really serious chance allowed, and you and the Bridgemen capitalized. Now we're going to have our first real corner kick of the game. It belongs to Cliffside Park. Players get set up. Shot sent towards net. It's headed out of harm's way, at least momentarily, by a member of Fort Lee. And on another opportunity, Cliffside Park scores. I don't believe 6 full minutes went by before Cliffside Park tied the game. They have not played from behind much at all this season, and now once again we are tied. First shot on goal for each side finds the back of the net. So a great answer by the Raiders. Both teams 1 for 1 in terms of shots on goal. And two goalkeepers who have played really well have been victimized by really good offenses. So once again, we're in a tie game. It's 1-1. 23 and a half to go here in the first half. A throw in for Fort Lee. Cliffside Park trying to take it out of harm's way. But Shinoda maintains for the Bridgman. Shot sent towards net from afar. Dartley couldn't get there. It's handled by the Cliffside Park goalkeeper. Good crowd on hand for this rivalry matchup. Cliffside Park and Fort Lee tied at 1. Dartley sends Chan on his way. Defeated in his pursuit for the ball by a couple members of the Raiders. Now a chance to throw in. Cheng does it quickly. Chan looking for the open lane. He's going to wind up with it again. Now a mad dash trying to center it. Fort Lee still has it. Shot from afar. It was ricocheted and it went out of bounds. And I think Fort Lee is still going to have it. Corner kick for the Bridgmen. It's their first real one of the game, and it's headed out of the danger area by Cliffside Park. Shinoda still has it, though, and once again, it looks like it's going to wind up out of bounds. Oh, no, it's not. No, I was right the first time. It does, in fact, go out of play, and so Cliffside Park will maintain. So if my basic math is correct, which is no guarantee, but if it is, that's 1 corner kick for each team, 1 shot on goal for each team, and 1 goal for each team. Yu is after it now. Fort Lee continues to win the time of possession battle, but a momentary lapse allowed the Raiders to tie the game. Fort Lee controls deep in their own territory. It's going to be Tamas kicking it away now. A Fort Lee player goes down. That was Choi. No call or anything like that. We play on. Shot sent way too far ahead for any member of the Bridgman to do anything with it. Once again handled by the Fort Lee, or by the Cliffside Park goalkeeper, rather. He boots it away, but Dartley sends it the opposite way. This is Chan after it. Goes out of play, and it'll be Cliffside Park ball. Couple players tried to head it. This time it's Fort Lee ball. Cheng will throw it in. Dartley's right in front of him, so he throws it to Chan. Chan battling one other player, nicely sends Dartley on his way. However, it's kicked away by a member of the Raiders. Now they send it the other way. Maraquin gets it out of harm's way. Chan once again fighting for it. Some nifty footwork. Once again, he's after it, battling with number 8 on the Raiders. More than halfway through this first half, tied at 1. This is Shinoda with it now. Gives it to Caratazzolo. And now Fort Lee is going to send it back and slow things down a little bit. Ball could not stay on the foot of Cheng, so Cliffside Park will have it. A whistle here as the Raiders make a couple substitutions. Little more than 19 minutes to go here in the first half. Remember the high school rules here, 40-minute halves, no stoppage time. Yu tried to get going the other way, but Cliffside Park maintains. That was a nice move by number 21 on the Raiders. Out of bounds, and it's still going to be Cliffside Park ball. The teams will set up a little bit. There was a Raider who had an opportunity, and he was unable to send the shot on net. He was right there, but it went out of bounds. risk handled by Tomas and the Bridgemen. Now Tomas letting his team set up. The junior goalkeeper gets it to Yu, who gets it to Chan. And now Cliffside Park takes over, but we have a whistle. So the Bridgemen are going to get an opportunity here. This is Marroquin at about the 40-yard line of the football field. Sending it towards net. Chan goes down. Little slow to get up. Cliffside Park has it. Ball knocked out of bounds by Marroquin. Good defensive play. The Raiders will maintain it. Now it belongs to Fort Lee again. Tomas will get the Bridgemen started. Good kick from the junior goalkeeper. Yu fighting for it, but we have another whistle. Fort Lee is going to maintain. It's going to be Shinoda getting them started. Oh, no, it might not be. It's actually Marroquin. Ball sent out of bounds. I believe that was number 12, Marcus Lee. Haven't called his name tonight. A Cliffside Park player throws it in, and now they get going. Marroquin tries to kick it out of there, but he's unable to get it out of the way. Now the Bridgemen are on the move the other way. They cannot get the ball to Yu, and in fact, it's going to go out of bounds. Still Bridgemen ball. Going to be thrown backwards. And the Bridgemen are going to slow things down here. Cheng sends it towards net. Headed towards goal. Chan unable to control it. Dartley gives it back to Cheng. Sends it right back. And a really nice play by Dartley. Just barely enough room in play, and he ends up kicking it off of the defender that he was battling. And it's going to be a corner kick, or a little two-man action in the corner for Fort Lee. Second time tonight they've had this opportunity. Chan sends it towards net on the ground, and it's deflected by a Raider defender. That was going to be on net, but a really nice defensive play by a member of a really good team. Another corner kick opportunity. Chan sends it above everyone. It is kicked pretty close to the net, but not quite close enough. Good opportunity there for Fort Lee. Just one shot on goal for the Bridgemen. That was Yu's goal. Now Cliffside Park looking for a chance. And who's going to win this battle for the ball? Looks like the Raiders will. Opportunity now for Cliffside Park. It's kicked out of there by a member of the Bridgemen, and it looks like they're going to get going the other way. This is Yu with it now. Yu gets it to Dartley, and now the Bridgemen are set up a little bit. Chan battling for it. No whistle as there was some contact in the middle of the field. And Cliffside Park trying to control. but they cannot. Dartley battling for it now. And now we have a whistle. And I don't know if they got Dartley on a shove there or what exactly the issue was, but Cliffside Park is going to take it the other way. To give you an idea of how good Cliffside Park is and how difficult it's going to be for Fort Lee and how good of an effort they've put in so far, Cliffside Park has allowed multiple goals in a game this season twice. It was their second and third games of the year. Fort Lee trying to make something happen here. Ultimately, it's sent the other way by Cliffside Park. Ball nearly stolen from behind by you. So Cliffside Park is going to slow things down a little bit. They lost at Tenafly 3-1 in their second game of the season. And since then, they've been on an absolute tear, the Raiders have been. Nice slide tackle there. Really good play by Chan. Now it's Lee fighting for it. But we're going to have a whistle, and Cliffside Park will take over. In their very next game, Cliffside Park beat Ridgefield Park on the road 6-4, and since then they have not allowed multiple goals in a game. Enzo Yu got the Bridgman on the board initially, only about 11 minutes into this game, but Cliffside Park tied it, and now, with just under 11 minutes to go in the first half, we are tied. A header towards net goes wide, and Fort Lee will get going the other way. According to NJ.com, this is Cliffside Park's last game of the regular season. Obviously, they have more games to play at a perfect 6-0 in division. Fort Lee will be at Pascack Valley on October 25th, and that might be their last regular season game of the year. We've been playing soccer here at the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Sports Complex for 1/2 hour, give or take maybe a few seconds. It is 1-1 between Fort Lee and Cliffside Park. A throw-in for Fort Lee, now a shot sent towards net, and it's going to be handled. Don't know if that'll count as a shot on goal or not, but it is handled by the Cliffside Park goalkeeper. Yu was right there. Shinoda whiffs. Mariquin was right there to clean it up. Trying to send Yu on his way. Cliffside Park is going to end up with it. A little bit of chippiness going on in this game. Big rivalry game. Both teams have played well. A lot of contact. We've had a good amount of whistles as well. Ryan Steer trying to get the Bridgman going. And they will, in fact, control. Cheng to Yu. Tried to head it and control. He was unable to. And was it Yu who touched the ball last? I don't believe it was. So Chan will throw in. Launches it towards the net. That's Yu to Dartley. Now sent to the middle of the field. Cliffside Park might end up with this one, and it looks like they will. They're going to take it the other way. Pass intended for number 24 of Cliffside Park was a little too far out of his reach, and it'll wind up with the Bridgeman. Yu chasing after that pass. He's going to lose that battle, and it winds up with the Cliffside Park goalkeeper. That was, I believe, Cheng who wound up on his back. No whistle. And Cliffside Park's player, wearing number 8 and gloves for the cold, will throw in as soon as we finish this substitution. Multiple players coming off for Cliffside Park. And now we'll get our throw in. It's headed by Cheng off of a Raider. So they wind up with it, but we get a whistle because now Demba Main wants to make a substitution. Marcus Lee will come off. Cliffside Park has it now. Shot sent towards net. And I think that would have gone in if Tomas hadn't jumped and knocked it out. I believe that was off of Tomas's fingertips. Really impressive play. So Cliffside Park trying to take the lead here late in the first half. A goal for either side would pretty much be a backbreaker. Of course, there is plenty of time left in this match. The Raiders are going to get what I believe is their second corner kick opportunity of the half. They go on the ground with it. They shed a Fort Lee defender. Now the ball is kicked. Is it out of bounds? Tomas tried to save it. Was he able to? He was not. So a corner kick now on the opposite side of the field for Cliffside Park. The Raiders threatening late. Ball sent towards net. I believe that was Tomas's hand that deflected it. And Cliffside Park did something they're not allowed to do. So the Bridgemen will go the other way. Crisis averted. Fort Lee and Cliffside Park still tied at 1. Little more than 4 minutes to go here in the first half of this Thursday night lights game. This is Cheng with it now. It was number 19, Matthew Traeger, who replaced Marcus Lee. Chan tried to head that one, but he was unable to. Ball sent all the way to Tomas. He'll roll it along to a teammate. This is Shinoda with it now. Teams spread out a little bit late in the first half. This is Cheng with it now, going the other way on the Raiders' number 24. Dartley with a little give and go to Cheng. Tries to center it. Once again tries to center it. This is Chan fighting for it. Sent the other way by the Raiders, but Mariquin has it. Under 3 minutes to play in the first half. Speaking of 3, Cheng is unable to catch up to that ball, so Cliffside Park will have it. Raiders looking to remain undefeated in division. Fort Lee has put up a really good battle tonight. Now they're sending it the other way. Good pace here. Little two-man game. Can he catch up to it? Yes, he can. Shot sent towards net, and it is handled pretty easily by the Cliffside Park goalkeeper. That might actually be the first shot on net of the game, other than Yu's goal for the Bridgemen. Both teams have played this one pretty tight. Dartley is down. He's holding his leg. He was trying to go the other way with it. Now he's slow to get up. He's moving again. Cheng gets it to him, but there is a massive hitch in his giddy-up. We're still playing here with under 2 minutes to go in the half. Dartley is grabbing at both legs, primarily the right one, it looks like. Cheng has it now. Tries to get it to Traeger. Winds up out of play. 90 seconds to go in the first half. Dartley is calling for a sub, and he's going to get it. Or that actually might be Chan. No, Chan is staying in. Dartley is going to go off to the sidelines the other way. Cheng centers it. It gets past everybody in pink. Now it winds up back with Chan, and he loses it to a member of the Raiders. Cliffside Park taking it the other way. Less than a minute to play here in the first half. Sent out of play by a member of the Bridgemen. I believe that was Steer. Cliffside Park taking their time here. They have just under half a minute to work with. Just over half a minute. Kicked out of harm's way by Fort Lee. There's a whistle as Traeger knocked down a member of the Raiders from behind. 15 seconds to play here in the first half. Cliffside Park wants to move quickly now. And with a couple players battling for the ball, the first half comes to a close. Very good half of high school hockey between Fort Lee and Cliffside Park. I'm going to step aside for the 10-minute halftime and then come back. You are watching the YouTube stream of Fort Lee boys soccer. Don't go anywhere. The horn has sounded, so we are just about ready to get underway, and now we are underway here in the second half. Cliffside Park will begin with it, the opposite of what happened in the first half. Excuse me, I went down to the snack stand and got some food. Tommy Aquilina here with you for the second half, Fort Lee against Cliffside Park. We are currently tied at 1. This is Samuel Choi running with it for Fort Lee. He loses the ball, but Shinoda is right there. Naoki Dartley is back on the field after falling down and grabbing his leg at the end of the first half. Might have just been cramping. Demba Main and co. certainly hope he's fine now. Remember, the Bridgman sends it on net. The header opportunity goes just high. Just barely above the net. So out of play, and now Cliffside Park will have it. Something similar happened near the end of the first half, where Benjamin Thomas had to jump. I believe he got a couple fingertips on it and knocked a ball that could have potentially been a goal out of play. The Bridgman leading goal scorer, Enzo Yu, got them on the board about 10 or 11 minutes into this one. And then less than 10 minutes later, the game was tied by Cliffside Park. Here we have a whistle that might have hit the arm or hand of Dartley. And since Cliffside Park tied it up, opportunities have been scarce for both teams. Shot sent towards net, Thomas handles it on the fly. Not a lot of saves made tonight, but both of these goalkeepers have played very well this season. Mentioned early on in this one how good Cliffside Park is. They're one of the better public school boys soccer teams in North Jersey. 10-1-3 on the season. Demba Main's squad is pretty good themselves, though. They played this team tough. A 2-1 win for Cliffside Park back on September 28th. Member of Cliffside Park ends up on his backside. It's going to be Fort Lee ball. And it's going to be thrown in by Caratazzolo, who won that battle. Throws it right to a member of the Raiders. Cliffside Park tries to send it the other way. That's Steer heading it. But it ends up out of bounds. Nothing Choi can do about that one. Loose ball on the field. Number 13 for Cliffside Park will throw it in for them. Just underway here in the second half. Big rivalry and divisional game between Fort Lee and Cliffside Park, tied at 1. A game that has been close throughout, not only in terms of the score, but in terms of the way these two teams have played. I do believe if you were to count it up, Fort Lee controlled possession of the ball for more time than the Raiders did. Marcus Lee chasing after it, but it's out of play, and it'll be Cliffside Park ball. Now Raider number 13 to throw in. Steer playing good defense. Wins the battle. Kicked out of play by one of his teammates. So Cliffside Park will still control. And a few of their players are going to set up around the net. Gets past a lot of players. Header opportunity winds up out of bounds. Even though Fort Lee has had the ball for more time, I do believe that there have been maybe a tiny handful more opportunities for Cliffside Park, but ultimately still just one goal on the scoreboard for both sides. And Cliffside Park does not give up many goals. They keep it in play here. Slide tackle, and that might result in a yellow card. Yeah, it looks like it will. Caratazzolo going for the ball, but he knocks down number 13 on Cliffside Park, so he gets a yellow card. So Alessandro Caratazzolo will head off. Can't see at the moment who replaced him. This is number 24 for Cliffside Park, sending it towards net. And that's not the part of the netting he wanted. Once again, ball sent over the net. Good try. Tomas was in good position for it. Ultimately, it landed out of harm's way. Both teams fighting for it, and it looks like Choi pushed that same Raider down. Remember, this is a sport where you're not supposed to use your hands. Crowd getting a little rowdy. Ball's out of play, and it's going to belong to the Raiders. A shot is faked. Now it's taken, but it's deflected out of play. It'll stay with Cliffside Park. Ball thrown towards net. Couple Bridgman there, and they get it out of harm's way. Cliffside Park gets it back. And Fort Lee once again handles it. Chan sent it a little too far for himself. Another chance for Cliffside Park. And the shot is sent wide of net. Tomas with the risky play, getting out in front, and it was the right play to make. Really good goalkeeping work there. Looks like there are some people in the crowd who wanted a call for Cliffside Park, but they're not going to get it. Tomas boots it towards Chan, and Fort Lee is still going to wind up with it. Shinoda will be able to set up. Caratazzolo has come back for the Bridgman. This is going to be Randy Mariquin getting them started. It's knocked down, but not handled by their goalkeeper. Fort Lee maintains. Once again sent towards net. It's going to bounce, and now he does handle it. Caratazzolo was somewhat in the vicinity, but ultimately no real danger for the Raiders. That header attempt is whiffed on. Fort Lee trying to send it the other way. This is Chan after it, sending a teammate along, and it is sent high in the air and out of play by one of the Raiders. A whistle, and it'll go the other way. A whistle on the throw-in. There's some confusion here. And that's going to result in a yellow card for number 13 on Cliffside Park. He was the one who was slide tackled by Caratazzolo, and now the referee is telling him basically that he got carded for taking too many chances to do what he wanted him to do. So he will come off. Fort Lee will have it. It's currently Caratazzolo with it. Cliffside Park is not happy about that one. The clock has been stopped as the referees converse with the Cliffside Park coaching staff. There is 30 minutes and 32 seconds left here in the second half. And now we can get started again. Marroquin sends it right towards net. And the Cliffside Park goalkeeper just kind of bats it up like a volleyball player might. Out of play. And two Bridgemen will set up near the corner kick area. It's Marroquin and Chan who sends it towards net. Not sure what exactly that move was. I believe that was you trying to send it towards net. But now Cliffside Park has it, going the other way with some pace here. Fort Lee will maintain. A little bit of a mistake there by number 10 on Cliffside Park. Sent the ball a little too far ahead for himself. Yu looking for another opportunity. Instead, Cliffside Park sends it the other way. Choi trying to keep this one in play. He's able to. Winning a race against a member of the Raiders. Now looking for an open player. He finds Yu in the middle of the field. No good lane for Yu. Sends it back to Dartley. Now it's Marcus Lee with it. Lee looking to make something happen. And it's going to go out of play. Fort Lee will maintain. Chan will head towards the corner. I believe this is the third corner kick opportunity for the Bridgemen, or maybe not, as now another member of the Bridgemen does join him. Ball is sent towards net, and it's headed out of there. Marroquin towards the net, just a little wide. Did the Cliffside Park goalkeeper get a fingertip on it? Some members of the Bridgemen think he did, but it looks like the referee in the area disagrees. Cliffside Park ball. Fort Lee steals it. Lee has it, sends it towards net, but it's knocked out of there by a Raider defender, I believe. Knocked out of play by Choi, so Cliffside Park will still have it. Yu sends it the other way for the Bridgeman. Lee is after it. But Cliffside Park is going to get it back. Both teams battling for it here. Trying to get a foothold in this game that is tied at 1. A throw in for Cliffside Park. Fort Lee gets it back. Sent towards Marcus Lee, but nobody was ahead of him. Cliffside Park taking it the other way now. Ball's going to end up out of play, and now it'll belong to the Bridgemen. Choi looking for a teammate to throw to. Decides on Chan, who sends Caratazzolo on his way, except the ball doesn't get to him. It's going to be Chan, no Choi, looking for someone else to throw into now. Same story as last time. This is Yu after it, fighting two members of the Raiders, and Cliffside Park does wind up with it. Pass attempt made to the center of the field. Now it's just Tomas. And Cliffside Park finds the back of the net. That's Steer who's on the ground. Momentarily, all of the bridgemen in the area were shedded, and that left just Tomas in between that player and the back of the net, and he was able to find it. Bottom left corner. We're going to have a substitution here. Caratazzolo will come off. Demba Main sends number 15, Grant Kang, out there. Chan will also get a breather. So Fort Lee playing from behind for the first time tonight. There's about 26 minutes left to go in this one. They had a 1-0 lead, but since then, Cliffside Park has scored twice. Dartley is tripped up. That's going to get a whistle. Fort Lee ultimately, I would say, was the better team in the first half. However, here in the second half, it has mostly been Cliffside Park dominating. So they get the go-ahead goal. I mentioned the breather for Chan. I believe that's number 18, Ishan Talapian, taking him out. And an opportunity there for Marroquin, I believe. But he sends it over the net. That was Marroquin. Cliffside Park beat Fort Lee 2-1 back on September 28th. Both teams have played well since then, particularly Cliffside Park. They haven't lost a game in regulation since September 12th. Now Cliffside Park with it again, looking to add to their lead. They have been known to pour on against teams this season. Looking for that multi-goal lead. Tomas with a nice play. There was still a chance there, but the ball ended up out of bounds. 24.5 minutes to play here. And the Bridgemen trying to pick up their sense of urgency as they now trail. Ball goes out of play, and it'll belong to Fort Lee. Demba Main's team has limited the mistakes, but Cliffside Park took advantage of one a few minutes ago. Now trying to hold on to this 2-1 lead. Another opportunity here for Cliffside Park. Ball winds up in the middle of the field. It is sent towards Tomas, and even though he was nearly screened by Marroquin, he ends up making the play. Good save there by the Bridgeman goalie. You have to figure, Fort Lee figures, they can't really allow another goal. This is Lee with it. Sends it towards Kang, but it doesn't get to him. Ball up in the air. Sent ahead by a member of Fort Lee. Possibly going to go out of play off of Cliffside Park. They save it. Choi steps in front of a player and takes it the other way. Now Cliffside Park with it. Shinoda trying to keep pace. a pass, and Cliffside Park is basically just going to send it out of play. Good crowd. It's been a good game so far. Underneath the bright lights here on a chilly Thursday night. Demba Main makes another substitution. Kang comes off. Choi looking for someone to throw into. It's Talapian, and he's fighting for it now. Cliffside Park has it. Neither team has had a multi-goal lead. Cliffside Park has had a lot of them this season. Ball winds up out of play. Good battle between the Bridgemen and the Raiders there. Choi stretching on the field. Again, it is a chilly night as fall is turning into winter here in the latter parts of October. Fort Lee still looking for that equalizer. They haven't had a shot on goal since going down 2-1. Shinoda sends it wide, whether you're looking at the uprights or certainly the goalposts. Talapian comes off. Subbed out for number 13, David Shin. Demba Main trying to mix and match a little bit here as his squad looks for the game-tying goal. This is Yu with it now. Trying to keep it in play. He's able to. And a whistle. That'll send it the other way. Fort Lee is not sure why. We've hit the halfway point of the second half. 20 minutes to go here in this one. Cliffside Park leads 2-1. The last time Fort Lee scored multiple goals in a game was October 11th in their 4-0 win against Ridgefield Park. Since then, they've lost 2 in a row, scoring 1 goal in each game, including today. They led 1-0, but a quick answer for Cliffside Park. Then they get a goal here in the second half. Including tonight, Cliffside Park has outscored opponents 38-12 this season. A very, very good team. Fort Lee has hung with them, though, looking for the equalizer. Ball's in the air towards net. Looked like it was headed down by a member of the Raiders. They're going to try to get it out of harm's way. Shinoda going to try to prevent them from doing that. Now here is Shin after it. Ball kicked up in the air. Shin tries to head it. And it looks like they're going to say he banged into number 26 on Cliffside Park. They were both trying to head the ball. And ultimately, the taller player won out there. Cliffside Park looking to go up by multiple goals. Enzo Yu has other plans. He loses it. Caratazzolo gets it back. Ultimately winds up with Cliffside Park. Only momentarily. Sent out of play. And it's going to be Cliffside Park ball as soon as they make a quick substitution. Maybe not that quick of a substitution, but now we're back underway. Ball knocked out of play by a member of the Bridgemen. Cliffside Park gets a throw in. 17 minutes to go here in the second half. High arcing centering opportunity. Now a shot sent towards net, and that is going to go out of the entire complex that we have here. The Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Sport Complex could not contain that shot attempt. Fort Lee ball. Hugh turned around like as the ball was getting to him. He's still going to wind up with it. Sends a pass that was a little too high for Lee, and Cliffside Park lets it go out of play. Two teams who made it to the semifinal of the Bergen County tournament, playing a good game tonight in a rivalry match underneath the bright lights here on a Thursday night. Cliffside Park trailed 1-0. They currently lead it 2-1, and they're looking for more. Fort Lee will once again get a chance here. This should be Fort Lee's penultimate game of the regular season here. They are 4-2 in the Big North American Division, looking to get a huge victory over the 6-0 Cliffside Park Raiders, but they trail 2-1. Cliffside Park has it. Intercepted by Choi, who's going to try to get the Bridgeman going, and instead he's going to send it out of bounds. Shin was the intended target there, but instead Cliffside Park will get to throw it in. First, they're going to make a substitution. Under 15 minutes to go here in the second half, getting to the point where it's almost crunch time for Fort Lee. Whose foot was that off of? Might have been Choi. No, they're going to say it's Fort Lee ball, but also Choi is slow to get up. He was stretching his legs before, and now we're going to have an injury timeout. 14:20 to go here in the second half. This is the second time tonight that a member of Demba Maine's team has been slow to get up. For Dartley, it looks like it might have just been cramping. He's been fine so far in the second half. But Choi is currently on his back. He went down. The ball didn't go out of bounds off of him, but he just now has made it to his feet. Going to take a quick timeout here, and then I will jump back on the call. We have a little bit more information. Choi has been helped off the field, and we are once again underway. Fort Lee to throw in, 15:20 to go here in the second half. The Bridgemen looking for the equalizer as they trail Cliffside Park 2-1. Cliffside Park trying to send the ball the other way, and they're going to maintain it because one of their players, looks like number 14, was knocked down by a member of Fort Lee. Now under 14 minutes to go. Cliffside Park looking to keep their long winning streak going. If you take out the Bergen County tournament, they're 9-1-0 this season. Ball is sent towards the net. There was a player right in front of Tomas, but he handles it and launches it with his hand. Caratazzolo sends it on, and now it is sent out of play. Shin throws it in for Fort Lee. He winds up with it. Gets it to Shinoda, who has some space. Dartley with it now, back to Shinoda. Could have sent it towards net, looked for his teammate Lee instead, and he sends it out of play. Opportunity there for the Bridgemen. They have not had too many here in the second half. This Cliffside Park team plays good defense. Again, the last time Cliffside Park gave up more than one goal was back on September 15th. Fort Lee is trying to break that spell. It's been over a month. Fort Lee still threatening here, but now Cliffside Park is going to take it the other way. About a dozen minutes to go here in the second half. Shin has the inside track on that one, and ultimately a nice play by number 13 on Cliffside Park as the Raiders will maintain it. So it's going to be a corner kick, and the Bridgemen are going to have to carefully defend their goalposts. They go with it on the ground. Centering try, and they score! Cliffside Park knew exactly what they were doing there. Their corner kick man kept it on the ground, and then a wide open shot in the middle of the field, and Cliffside Park has their multi-goal lead. 11:28 to go here in the second half, and that's a heartbreaker for Fort Lee. They've played a really good game, but they would have had to play a nearly flawless game, and they haven't done that, so they currently trail by 2 goals. Now they got to move really quickly. 3 unanswered goals for Cliffside Park. Slide tackle is whiffed on. Long slide by number 13. Caratazzolo gives off to Dartley as Fort Lee looks to make something happen. This is Yu, the Bridgeman goal scorer, with it now. Gave it to Cheng. Ball wound up out of play. Cheng quickly throws it back in. Centering pass was intended for Dartley. Ultimately, Cliffside Park ends up with it. Leading pass isn't quite made. Ryan Steer was there, but the ball goes off Caratazzolo's foot. And now out of bounds. I believe that was off of Shin. And now Demba Main is going to make a lot of substitutions. 4 new players will come on. Shinoda, Yu, Dartley, and Caratazzolo are off. Cliffside Park has their 2-goal lead. It's 3-1 with 10 minutes to go here in the second half. The Raiders want more. This is what they do. They take a lead and then they pour on. Putting the Bergen County tournament aside, this figures to be a 9th consecutive victory for Cliffside Park if they can hold on to this edge. Talapian looking to make something happen, and he's going to get a whistle blown against him. A member of Cliffside Park is slow to get up. The referee has a word with Talapian, does not card him. And there's now less than 9 minutes to go in this one. Marcus Lee trying to get the Bridgman going. Shot is sent towards net, but it is wide of the net. Talapian unable to get there. Nobody for Cliffside Park had to touch it, and nobody did. Goes out of play, and now it looks like Demba Main is going to make another substitution. Lee comes off, as there's now less than 8 minutes to play. If Fort Lee does not come back in this one, they will fall to 3-4-1 at home and 4-3 in division this season. They entered this one with 7 wins, 6 losses, and 2 ties. And they've played some of their best soccer in the Bergen County tournament, which they lost in the semifinal round of, and in division. But in very serious danger of falling to 0-2 against Cliffside Park this season. Some of the players who don't see as much of the pitch trying to make things happen here. Included in that is number 19, Matthew Traeger. Cliffside Park gets to throw in now. Fort Lee winds up with it. This is number 16, Ben Kang, who's running after it now. Ultimately, Fort Lee is able to maintain, but only briefly. Shin keeps it in play. Number 14, Jordy Foka Rody, sending another player on. Shot sent towards net, and Cliffside Park is going to wind up with it. Shin trying to keep the threat alive, but the ball does go out of play. Fort Lee with some sustained pressure for the first time in a while as they try to make up this 2-goal deficit. Shin sends it towards net. It's headed out of there. And now Shin trying to save it. Sends it out of play. We're going to have, looks like 1 substitution for Cliffside Park. Cliffside Park set to improve to a perfect 7-0 in division and 11-1-3 overall. They are a tremendous team that Fort Lee has played tough twice now this year, but it looks like they're going to come up short twice. And then, like I said before, 1 more game for Demba Main's squad. In 5 days, they will be at Pascack Valley. So that will not be a big North American game. Ball winds up out of play. It's going to stay with Cliffside Park. We're going to have some substitutions and also a clock stoppage. Member of the Raiders tying his shoe. And now we're back underway. 4:08 and ticking to go here in the second half. It'll stay with Cliffside Park. Shin battling for it. Ben Kang sends it to Grant Kang. Shot is sent towards net. It's headed out of the danger area by a member of Cliffside Park. And now they send it the other way. That should belong to Fort Lee, and it does. Little after 8:30 here in Fort Lee, little under 3 minutes to go here in this match between the Raiders of Cliffside Park and the Bridgemen of Fort Lee. This game was 1-1 at half. 2 goals here in the last 40 minutes for Cliffside Park, and they maintain that 3-1 advantage. Fort Lee gets it back. Nice play there by Jordy Foka Rody. Now Fort Lee threatening. It does get to the Cliffside Park goalkeeper. Traeger right there. Forces him to fall on it, which he does. It's not like there were no opportunities after the U goal for Fort Lee, but ultimately they were unable to build on their 1-0 advantage. A shot is sent towards net. Tomas hits the deck, but ultimately he did not have to. That shot was a little wide. Little under 1:20 to go in this one. Fort Lee trying to see if they can make something happen at the end here. Ball goes out of play off of Cliffside Park. About 40 seconds left in this one. Cliffside Park going to, like I said, stay undefeated this year in division. 7-0, 11-1-3 overall. Fort Lee will fall to 7-7-2 overall, and they will look to snap a 3-game losing streak at Pascack Valley in 5 days. Another shot sent towards net. Tomas handles that one. That will go down as a save for him. And that might be the last significant thing that happens in this one. Fort Lee knew it would be a challenge. Cliffside Park has now outscored opponents 39-12 this season. And the final horn sounds, and the Cliffside Park Raiders notch a victory here at Fort Lee. Hotly contested game on September 28th, a 2-1 loss. Tonight, another well-played game, but ultimately a 3-1 defeat for the Fort Lee Bridgemen here at the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Sports Complex. Again, they will be on the road for their next one. That'll be in 5 days. Thank you so much, though, for listening to me call a couple games this season for the Fort Lee boys soccer team. Tomorrow I will be back for the Fort Lee football game. For now, thank you for spending part of your Thursday night on the YouTube stream of the Fort Lee boys soccer team. Again, the final score, Cliffside Park 3, Fort Lee 1. So long, everyone. Have a good night.